They thought a house in Italy was the beginning of their dream, but what they found inside was nothing anyone was prepared for. Margaret pressed her ear to the floor. She heard it again. A rhythm. A pulse. "Robert, come here. Listen to this." Her husband knelt beside her. His eyes widened. Something was breathing beneath their retirement dream. The Mitchell family had traveled far for this. A €1 house in Sicily. The price was impossible. €1 single for an entire house. The catch was simple. Restore it within 3 years. Invest at least €30,000 minimum. Bring life back to dying villages. Margaret and Robert had a plan. Retire to Italy. Buy a restoration house. Create a place where their children could visit. The first weeks were exhausting but joyful. Margaret scrubbed floors. Robert repaired shutters. They worked from sunrise to sunset. Then Margaret heard the sound. It started so quietly she thought it was her imagination. A low hum from below the kitchen. She was washing paintbrushes when she first noticed. There. A rhythm. Almost like breathing. Almost like a heartbeat. "Robert, come here. Listen." His expression changed. "What is that?" "I do not know, but it is coming from the basement. The basement door was different from all the others. Heavy oak, iron hinges crusted with age, and chains. 3 thick chains wrapped around the frame. Robert examined them carefully. These are old. Really old. Someone wanted this basement closed forever. Margaret felt uneasy. Why would they seal it so thoroughly? Old wine cellar, maybe. Structural issues. Could be anything. But the sound grew louder each day. Margaret could not ignore it anymore. The pulse was constant now. Rhythmic. Deliberate. She lay awake at night, hand pressed to the floor, feeling vibrations that should not exist. "We need to open it," she told Robert. "We need to see what is down there." Robert was reluctant. What if it is dangerous? What if there is mold? Asbestos? Chemical storage? Then we need to know. We cannot restore this house properly without accessing the basement. They found bolt cutters in the village hardware shop. Old Giuseppe, who ran the store, looked worried when he saw what they were buying. "For the basement?" he asked in broken English. "Yes, the door is chained." Giuseppe shook his head slowly. "The last owner." She left quickly, never came back. Why did she leave? He made a vague gesture. She said the house did not want her, said it had its own life. Robert cut the chains early one morning. The sound of breaking metal echoed through the empty house. Each chain fell with a heavy clang. The chains lay on the floor like dead snakes. Robert gripped the door handle. Margaret suddenly did not want him to open it. Some instinct screamed at her to stop, but Robert pulled. The door groaned, resisted, then gave way with a sound like a sigh. Air rushed out. Sweet, thick, organic, like overripe fruit mixed with damp earth. And the sound. Much louder now. A pulse, a rhythm, coming from the darkness below. They descended stone steps into darkness. The smell intensified with each step. Not unpleasant exactly, just strange, unfamiliar. The basement was larger than expected, shelves with bottles covered in decades of dust. Robert swept his flashlight across the space. Nothing unusual at first. Just storage. Just age. Then the beam found something in the far corner, behind collapsed shelving, something that made them both stop breathing. A cocoon. Massive, nearly 6 feet tall, hanging from ancient ceiling beams. The surface was leathery, grayish-brown, covered in intricate vein-like patterns, like a map, like living tissue, and it was moving, pulsing, breathing. Margaret could not speak, could not process what she was seeing. Robert stepped closer. The cocoon pulsed again, more strongly this time. "We need to leave," Margaret whispered, "right now." Before we continue with what they discovered about this mysterious cocoon, Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. What happens next will shock you. They stumbled up the stairs, slammed the basement door, both of them shaking. Margaret grabbed her phone. Her hands trembled so badly she could barely dial. "Who are you calling?" Robert asked. "The municipality." "Someone. Anyone who can tell us what that thing is." The conversation was difficult. Margaret's Italian was basic, but she managed to communicate urgency. Something alive. Something unknown. Something in their basement. The woman on the phone promised to send someone. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. That night, neither of them slept. They lay in bed, listening. The pulse was audible now, even through the closed door, through the floor, through the walls. Margaret felt it in her chest, like a second heartbeat, like the house itself was alive. "What have we done?" she whispered. "We opened something that was meant to stay closed." Robert held her hand. "We will figure this out. Maybe it is just bats, or a wasp nest, something natural." But neither of them believed that. Nothing natural looked like that cocoon. Nothing natural pulsed with that kind of rhythm. Morning came slowly. They sat at the kitchen table, drinking coffee, not speaking, both of them staring at the basement door. Margaret thought about their savings, the 20,000 euros they had already spent, materials, permits, tools, travel costs, part of the money they had worked for, money they had sacrificed, poured into this house. And now something was living in the basement, something they could not explain, something that made the previous owner flee. The specialist arrived late that afternoon. Dr. Sofia Marchetti introduced herself. She was young, carrying professional equipment. Her expression was skeptical. "You found something unusual in your basement?" Margaret led her to the door. "Unusual is an understatement. See for yourself." Dr. Marchetti descended the stairs confidently. Then silence. Long silence. When Dr. Marchetti emerged, her face was pale. Her confidence had evaporated. "I need to make calls," she said quietly. "This is beyond my expertise." "What is it?" Robert demanded. "I do not know exactly, but that cocoon is alive, very alive. The thermal signature shows massive biological activity. Whatever is inside is active, aware, and possibly days from emerging." Margaret felt her legs weaken. "Emerging? It will break open." "Soon. We need to monitor this carefully." "Monitor it?" Robert's voice rose. "We live here." "This is our home." Dr. Marchetti looked sympathetic. "I understand. But until we know what this is, I recommend you stay elsewhere. Just temporarily. For safety." They checked into a small hotel in the next village, waited for news that never seemed to come. The call came before dawn. Dr. Marchetti's voice was electric with excitement. "It is opening. You should come. You should see what you discovered." They drove through darkness to Monterosso, found their house blazing with lights, cars everywhere, people moving urgently. The basement was crowded with researchers, all eyes on the cocoon. The split had widened. Movement inside was visible now. Then they emerged, one by one, then dozens, then hundreds. Bats, pouring out of the cocoon like dark water, filling the basement with wings and sound. Margaret watched in stunned silence. Robert gripped her hand. The bats settled on walls, on beams, watching with bright eyes, adjusting to light and space. Margaret felt something shift inside her. Not fear, not even sadness. She don't know what. Dr. Marchetti turned to them. Her expression was sympathetic but firm. "We need to talk. About the house. This colony is protected under Italian and European law. The hibernation structure is scientifically significant." "What are you saying?" Robert asked. "The property will need to be declared a protected site. You could not renovate now, could not disturb them. The restoration would be impossible. Margaret looked at Robert. Something silent passed between them. 30 years of marriage. They could read each other perfectly. "We understand," Margaret said quietly. Dr. Marchetti looked surprised. "You understand?" "You could fight this," Dr. Marchetti said. "Legally. The €1 contract has provisions. You might be able to force relocation of the colony." "No," she said firmly. "We will not fight this. Those bats have been here for decades. They found this place first. They made it their home." Margaret felt Robert's hand find hers. She squeezed it. "We came to Italy for peace, for a place to rest. But this house does not belong to us. It never did. It belongs to them." They returned to the hotel, began packing their belongings. Margaret folded clothes carefully. Robert organized documents. They worked in comfortable silence. "Are we making the right choice?" Margaret finally asked. "We spent so much, worked so hard." "I know, but forcing them out, destroying their home for hours, that would poison everything. Every moment in that house would feel wrong." Margaret knew he was right. She had felt it the moment the bats emerged. Relief, not disappointment. Relief, but their story with the house wasn't quite over yet. They checked out of the hotel the next morning, drove to the municipality office, signed papers releasing the house, walked away from their €1 dream. Giuseppe saw them loading the car. He approached slowly. His weathered face was sad. "You are leaving?" "Yes. The house belongs to the bats now." Giuseppe nodded. "You are good people." "The house, it knew you would do the right thing." "The house knew?" Margaret smiled sadly. "Houses do not know things, Giuseppe." The old man's eyes twinkled. "In Italy, houses know everything. Your house was testing you. You passed the test." He pressed something into Margaret's hand, a piece of paper with a phone number. "My cousin. In Tuscany. He has a house, small villa, beautiful. No bats, no mysteries, just sunshine and olive trees. He wants to sell. Maybe you want to buy." Margaret looked at the number, felt a flutter of hope. "We will have our money back. The government is refunding everything we spent on renovation. Then call him. Tell him Giuseppe sent you. He will give you a fair price. He is family." They drove north the next day, through Sicilian mountains, past ancient villages, into the rolling hills of Tuscany. The address led them to a small stone farmhouse, surrounded by olive groves, a garden wild with herbs, mountains in the distance. Giuseppe's cousin was named Marco. He was older than Giuseppe. Gentle eyes, warm smile. He led them through the farmhouse. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with morning light, a terrace overlooking the valley. It was smaller than the Monterosso house, simpler, but it felt right. It felt welcoming. "This house wants people," Marco said. "My wife passed 2 years ago. I moved to the city to be near my daughter. The house sits empty now. Lonely." "It is beautiful," Margaret breathed. Robert asked the careful question. "What is your asking price?" Marco thought for a moment. "The market value is about €90,000. But for friends of Giuseppe, for people who protected nature, I will sell for €75,000. The house is already restored. You can move in immediately." The house welcomed them immediately. Warm stones, gentle breezes, light that filled every corner. No chains on any doors, no sealed basements, no mysteries. Just peace. Just exactly what they had been searching for. Margaret stood on the terrace that first evening, watched the sun set over Tuscan hills, felt something release in her chest. She thinks now about the Monterosso house, about the bats, about the basement that refused new owners. She is grateful. That house taught them something crucial. Not everything we find is meant to be kept. Not everything we want is meant to be ours. Sometimes we must let go, release, walk away, trust that something better is waiting. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me continue sharing stories that matter.